Hello, grade 7. This is Mrs. Lopez. Today we are learning Module 2, Lesson 10. That is the first lesson in the topic B of this module and a first step in understanding multiplication of integers. So let's go ahead and get started. Example 1, product of a positive integer and a negative integer. So let's find the total value of your hand here. So you have two integer cards and the total value is -5 plus 8 is 3. So 3 is the total value. Add three groups of -4 and find the new total. So here we have three groups of -4. -4, -4, and -4. What is the new total here? So here I have -4 plus -4 plus -4, that is -12, plus -5, that is -17, plus +8 is -9. -9. By how much did your hand change? It went from 3 to -9. From 3 to 0 is 3 spaces, and to -9 is 9 spaces more. So it changed by 12. We'll say decreased by 12, right? Write an addition expression to represent the three matching cards. -4 plus -4 plus -4. That's my addition expression. And that equals to -12. Write an equation that connects the product and the addition expression. So we know that -4 plus -4 plus -4 is the same thing as multiplication, three groups of -4. Three groups of -4. Write a product to represent the three matching cards. Can I say three groups of -4 equals to -12? Absolutely, because three groups of -4, as I added them together, equals to -12. Write an equation for the product. So that's what we just did. Three groups of -4 equals -12. Okay, so what that means is, look, we multiplying here positive number by a negative number. And to understand it, you just saw that we are adding three groups of negative number, right? When we are adding negative numbers, our sum does not change its sign. It stays the same. -4 plus -4 is -8, plus -4 is -12. So here it's a multiplication expression, but you can say it as three groups of -4 or adding three groups of -4. This way it will help you understand it better. Let's move on. Products of a negative integer and a positive integer. Okay, so find the total value of your hand. Here we go again. So three groups of 4 here give us 12. 12 plus -5 is 7. If all of the 4s are discarded, what will your new score be? If I take away these three groups of 4, my score is going to be -5, right? Because these are done, they're gone. We have only -5 left. So -5. By how much did your hand change? It went from 7 to -5. So it decreased by 12, didn't it? Decreased by 12. Write an addition expression to represent the three matching cards. Okay, so 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. Okay, so one thing that we need to see here is, since we are discarding, probably need to add here discarding of the 3 matching cards, right? And when I'm discarding something, I'm taking it away, so it has to be -4 in all 3 cases. Since I'm discarding them, it can be -4 plus -4 plus -4. I'm taking them out. Another way to write it is discarding 3 groups of 4. I can do it this way. And that will represent discarding. Okay. Write an equation that connects the product and the addition expression. Let's use this equation right here. Discarding 3 groups of 4. Discarding, it's a negative action, discarding 3 groups of 4. That will make more sense. -12. Okay, so I can say discarding 3 groups of 4 is the same thing as discarding 3 groups of 4. Okay? Write a product to represent the 3 matching cards. So we just did it right here. -12, that's the product that ended up after we added subtracted, I would say discarded all of the cards. And the equation for the product is discarding 3 groups of 4 equals -12. Okay, taking away 3 groups of 4, my score went down. My score went down. Okay. Let's move on. Example 3. Product of 2 negative integers. If the matching cards are discarded from the playing hand below, what will happen to the score? Will it increase or decrease? Explain. Okay, so my score right now is I have 3 groups of -2, which is -6, right? -2 plus -2 is -4. -4 plus -2 is -6 plus 10 is 4, right? Original score. Original score. If I took them away, if I discarded those 3 groups, and if they're gone, my score is going to be 10. So new score 10. Did the score increase or decrease? The score increased after I discarded those negative numbers. The score increased by 10. By 6, sorry, by 6 after discarding negative cards. Write the equation to represent the change in your score. Okay, so since I'm discarding, it's going to be a negative action, right? I'm taking them away. I'm discarding, and I will write it here, discarding. It's a negative action. I'm discarding 3 groups of -2. I'm discarding 3 groups of -2. It's the same thing as I would do discarding -2 plus -2 plus -2, right? I'm taking away that -6, right? And since I'm taking away -6, my score increases by 6. So 3 times -2 will give me an increase of 6. Okay, so what happens when you discard negative cards? The score increases. The score increases. Okay, so now what conclusions can you make from examples 1 through 3? So let's look at example 1 again. When we added negative groups of negative numbers, our score became negative. It resulted in a negative change. It resulted in a product that decreased score, right? When we let's look at example 2. When we discarded groups of positive number, our score also went down. Okay, so negative number multiplied by a positive number gave me a negative answer. So let's look at these two together. I don't know, here you can see this way. One equation was positive number multiplied by a negative number, and the other equation was negative number multiplied by a positive number. So can I say that when I'm multiplying numbers with different signs, my score is negative? Absolutely. When I multiply numbers with different signs, my score is negative. Let's write it down here. So what conclusion? When we multiply numbers with different signs, the score or the product, the product is negative. Okay, now let's look at this equation right here in example 3. Here I multiplied numbers that were both negative. And we also know that if I multiply 3 by 2 from grade 3, I will get a positive answer, 6. So these two numbers are positive, give me a positive answer. These two numbers are negative and give me also a positive answer. So can I say that when I multiply numbers with same sign, the score increases or a positive? Yes. So when we multiply numbers with same signs, the product is positive. When I multiply numbers with the same signs, the product is positive. Okay, so very important thing to remember. These two rules. When I multiply numbers that have different signs, the score is negative. When I multiply numbers with the same sign, the product is positive. Okay, so now let's apply these. Exercise 1. Describe sets of 2 or more matching integer cards that satisfy the criteria in each problem below. Cards that increase the score by 10 points. Increase the score by 10 points. So my answer has to be positive 10. But I need to do the multiplication. I need to do the sets of 2 or more matching integer cards. So it has to be sets of cards. So what cards can give me the increase of 10 points that are the same cards? Well, it can be two groups of 5, right? Two groups of 5, right? The cards that increase the score by 10 points can be two groups of 5 or 5 groups of 2. right? It will be the same exact thing. Okay. Cards that decrease the score by 15 points. Decrease the score by 15 points. When the cards decrease, it has to be negative cards, right? Sets of negative cards. So it can be 3 sets or 3 groups of -5 will give you -15 because -15 will give you the decrease, or it well, I guess that's or 5 groups of -3, right? Okay. Removing cards that increase the score by 20 points. So here, actually, right here, I can write 2 times 5, right? Equals 10, and 5 times 2 equals 10. Here I can write 3 times -5 equals -15, and 5 times -3 equals -15. Removing cards that increase the score by 20 points. So we know we need to remove the cards. So right away we are going to put a negative sign that stands for removal. Removing cards that increase the score by 20 points. So I have to get to positive 20 after I remove cards, right? Removing, let's say, 4 groups of 5, of -5, right? When I remove 4 groups of -5, or I can remove 5 groups of -4. Also will result in positive 20. I can also remove 2 groups of -10, remove 2 groups of -10, and I don't think we'll have 10 groups of -2, right? Okay, so I can write all of these together. -4 times -5 will equal 20. -5 times -4 will equal 20. -2 times -10 will equal 20. Removing groups of negative will increase your score. That is very important to remember. Because when you add numbers, right, when you add negative numbers, your score stays negative. When you have -4 plus -4 plus -4, your answer is -12. But if you're removing groups of negative numbers, removing negative actually brings your score up. Okay, so let's say you had some F's in your score in your grade book and some A's, and when I took F's away, removing negative, your grade book score became better, right? That's why removing groups of negative cards increases your score. Okay, positive cards that will decrease the score by 24 points. Decrease by 24 points, and we are adding cards, right? Positive cards that will decrease the score. So what can it be? Positive cards that decrease the score. I can only remove those cards, right? I can only remove, let's say, 4 groups of 6, or I can remove 3 groups of 8, right? Or 2 groups of 12, but I don't think we have cards with the 12. Don't think so. Okay. So when I remove, that's going to be a negative action. -4 times 6 will equal -24. -3 times 8 will give you -24. That is important to know. Again, when we are multiplying different signs, numbers with different signs, our score is negative because it results in the score going down when I'm taking positive cards away. Okay, write an equation to satisfy the criteria below and state the product. So instead of writing groups of cards, we are going to just write an equation and find the product. Discarding 5 groups of 6. Discarding is a negative action. We are discarding 5 groups of 6. And when I'm taking away 5 groups of 6, the score decreases by 30. Okay, so negative 5 times 6 equals negative 30. Adding positive action, we don't need to write a positive sign. 9 groups of negative 3. Adding 9 groups of negative 3. When we add all these negative numbers, our score is still negative 27. Discarding 6 groups of negative 8. Discarding 6 groups of negative 8. When I'm taking away negative numbers, my score goes up. It increases by 48. Okay, and the last one, adding 10 groups of 5. Again, adding, we don't need to put a plus sign there. 10 groups of 5. When I add 10 groups of 5, my score increases by 50. Okay, that is our lesson 10. Please make sure to understand how that multiplication works. Again, the rules for multiplication of integers or any rational numbers, different signs. When we multiply numbers with different signs, our product is negative. When we multiply numbers with the same sign, our product is positive. If you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, please do your homework and I will talk to you in the next lesson.